before we get into it, I should actually explain what this thing is. It's a Fluke 750A reference divider. This is a piece of calibration equipment. So the idea is you can use this to divide down a voltage with reference to a standard cell and output onto a null detector. Now we've still got the next problem, which is the batteries. These things. These are a problem. 7.5 volt alkalines. PC135A. This is what they're known as, or an E135. These batteries are hard to get and they're expensive.
What are we going to do?
Don't worry, Mr. B. I have a cunning plan to solve the problem.
Yes, Mordick, let us not forget that you tried to solve the problem of your mother's low ceiling by cutting off her head.
I have a plan for this, and my plan, those eagle-eyed among you may have noticed, is these two lithium-ion cells I've got sitting here. These are 7.4 volt cells. In theory, I can fit both of those batteries inside this compartment in the same space as those cells. So I can actually put these in there and wire this up, and I can probably do it all within the compartment without doing anything inside here. I don't know if these have got BMS built into them or not. But a lot of cells have got protection units built into them, so there may be a circuit board under here to protect the cells from over discharge and overcharge. I don't actually know if there is one. So that's my next problem, is I don't know if I need to include my own BMS for these things. So on these cells I've got these 3 wires and these 2. Obviously these are the main high current outputs on these because they're meant for radio control vehicles and stuff, like helicopters and cars and things like that. That's what they're meant for. But these wires here, these are for each cell. So we've got a battery negative, battery positive, and the white one is the middle connection. So that's the battery connection between the 2 cells. And then obviously these ones are across the entire pack. Now these are kind of what we want to use, but we can easily use these. We could use one or the other. Either one will work. I've tested these briefly and these seem to connect to these. I tried loading these down with 1 amp across the cell. It handled it just fine. This isn't going to draw anywhere near that sort of power. You're talking really tiny currents in these things. Self-discharge is probably going to be more of an issue than anything else. I kind of want to know if there's a battery protection board in there. I think I might have to discharge the cell and see if it cuts off. If it cuts off, then there's a protection module, and then I know I don't need to put a BMS in there because it will work just fine like that. If there isn't a module, then we've got another problem because I need to put a BMS in. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to plug this up to my electronic load using this cable here, plugged into the cable. These little probes are really handy for this because they fit into these sorts of plugs really well. So I'm going to stick this to one side and do a discharge test on it. Now if it cuts off before or at about 5 volts, it's got a protection board in there because 2.5 volts is like the minimum. But I'm going to try dropping it down and see what happens and see if it cuts off. If it cuts off, then there's a protection board. If there's not, then I've got to do more work. So whilst we're here, let's have a look at these batteries that are in here right now. I think that's a centre point there, so let's go here like that. So this side, the centre point, 5.2 volts, and across each end, yeah, one battery's completely dead, and the other one's got 5 volts in it. So the original batteries in here, I completely had it, as expected. On the plus side, I do actually have BMS modules for lithium-ion batteries. I've got a whole bunch of them, so if I do need to use BMS on these, then I've got parts I can use. It's not a big deal at all. Well, this is interesting. On the end of this one, it has LR50. Is this a stack of smaller cells shoved together? Should we take the sleeving off and have a look? I'm suspicious. I am very suspicious. Well, isn't that interesting? It's a stack of smaller cells shoved together. They are welded. It's got these little caps on here. So what I've got is a little cap here, and obviously weld this cap onto the end of the battery terminal, and then they weld the cap onto the top of the next cell, which is how they've made those. So it's welded here, and then welded onto the connection on the end of the cell there on that piece. That's how they've made those. Clever. LR50, eh? Wonder how much those would cost. So these batteries, I'm sure, do not have battery protection boards on them. I think it's just straight into the cells. The electronic load dropped it down to 5.5 volts for the load cut off. It shouldn't really go below 3 if it's got a board in there to protect it. And because these are lithium ion batteries, not lithium iron phosphate. So I'm charging up as well, and I've tried going to 8.45 volts on this cell here, and it actually did it. So yeah, definitely no protection. So I've got it dropping down again now. That's with a relatively high current. So I've got it set down to 8.3 volts now. Can let it settle down there and stabilise and just soak at 8.3 volts. Basically fully charged voltage of these cells. So I'm going to leave it there, and then I'll just make sure it equalises there and fully absorbs. The other cell, this one here, is the one which I discharged. So this one I'm starting from flat, and I'm charging up. It's been going for 25 minutes so far at 700 milliamps. I'm doing 1C charge rate. Might be a bit on the high side, but I'm yeah, anyway. And then once it gets up to 8.35 volts, which I'm hoping will be done in the next 5 minutes, then I'll drop it down to 100 milliamps at 8.3. I'll just let it soak as well. I'll just leave them sitting there for a while to soak. Now what I do have are these modules here. I use these in various projects. These are lithium ion battery protection modules. So you got the capability of having 2 cells. So you got battery middle, battery positive, battery negative, and power positive, power negative. So I need to use one of these on each battery, but that's fine. That's absolutely acceptable. So I can install one on each battery and then wire each battery in series like the original ones were. The only tricky thing then is charging them. I need to sort out some kind of charging system, because it'll basically mean I need a split rail power supply to charge this thing, or I charge them individually, have 2 sockets and charge them individually or something, I don't know, but yeah, I need to figure that out. Something else I have here are these things, these modules. These are battery charge modules, use me for charging battery packs. So this one, I've actually got a bunch of these things. This is set up for 2 cells at 1 amp maximum charge current. They can be set to 0.5 amps. Now I don't know how that's set on here, but if I can figure out to set the charging current to a low value, then I will change that charging current down as well. I think I'll be happy with a 0.5 amp charging current versus a 1 amp charge current for these cells. But again, the issue is then that I need to figure out a way of actually hooking all this stuff up without having to use a split rail power supply. I mean, I could maybe use a 20 volt power supply rail and then use like Zenas across it or something like that to create a virtual ground, and then put these boards in series together. That might work. The thing with lithium cells, you don't want to take any risks with them. I've charged up this pack again, so it's now fully charged. Both packs should be about the same levels of charge. I've already fitted the BMS protection board here. Now I do actually have a 4-cell board, but I was thinking if I use the 4-cell board, that'll only disconnect the negative of one side. So if I wired these up as a single pack, and because I'm using a battery middle connection in between those junctions, it'll only disconnect this battery, the positive side will still be connected, because it'll only disconnect the negative one, right? Because that's how those things work. They disconnect the negative side of the battery in order to control the charge rates and stuff like that. So thinking, well, if I use one of those, it wouldn't actually work correctly in this instance because it's got a battery middle connection. It's a split supply. So because of that, I have to use 2 individual battery protection modules. There's that. So that board's basically there. I've started wiring it in, as you can see. So it's using these 3 wire connections here to do these interconnects. That's absolutely fine. These ones here, I'm leaving as they are. These are like the high current ones. It doesn't need high current anyway. Potentially hooking into these. I may even just take the back cover off, charge them up, just plug a cable in and charge them individually. I mean, that even may be what I do, because this isn't going to get used very often, and these only do one function. They provide protection. It's protection relay inside this thing. So if you overload the input with too much voltage, then it will disconnect the input and protect itself so not damaging the resistors inside it, that sort of stuff. So that's a really nice feature. And obviously you want to make sure that's working, which is all these batteries do. All they do is protect this unit from an over voltage. That's it. So technically, if you're really careful, you could run it without the batteries at all, and it'll be fine as long as you never overload the input. But I'm not going to take that risk because I'm not that good. I will probably get it wrong at some point. That's everything wired electrically, at least for the usage side of it, not the charging side of it. That side I've got to still decide on exactly how I'm going to manage that part. This is now ready to be mounted inside the unit. This won't actually function yet. These little modules, they will not output any power until you apply power to them to charge them. So the very first time you put a charging current on them, or charging voltage, then it'll activate the BMS module, protection module, and it will then enable the battery to be used. But initially there shouldn't be any power on there because they won't actually allow that. Now the thing is, because I've got two in series, that might mean it's created a differential voltage, which means it might actually think there's power being applied. It may actually be functioning already. Let's have a look and see if we've got any voltage in here unexpectedly, because I'd like to know if this is actually operating or not. So between the positive and the negative, there should be nothing there if it's off. Between there and there, nothing. Yep, that is off as expected, and that's perfectly fine. That's exactly how it should be, because I haven't activated it yet. There you go, that's all installed. Now again, this isn't allowing for charging. The original cables, I've just heat shrunk the actual main power cables. Like there's one there and the other one's tucked behind there. I'll just heat shrunk them just to protect them a little bit from potential shorts. You never quite know what's going to happen. And these are the BMS like protection boards in these sleeves here. So it's not particularly tidy. I'm not good at this making stuff tidy thing, so I don't have a charging system set up yet, but I could charge directly into the cells without going through the battery protection modules. But equally, the wires, the 3 wires I need to do that, are inside the unit, so I could even drill a hole in the back of the chassis here and put in a system, I don't know, 2 sockets or something, I don't know, which then hook up to the internal wiring. Because there's 3 wires. It's the battery middle, the battery negative, and the battery positive. They're the 3 wires I need to do charging. So I can actually hook up from that inside and not mess with this again. I'm happy with it as it is. Put power onto both the modules so that they're both energized, so there's output power. So this should actually function now. Well, let's try this circuitry out, see if it actually works. So apparently, I can go to the 5 volt setting on here. I've got the multimeter here hooked up to the output. I've got my power supply set up to 8 volts currently on the input. Let me just drop it down a bit. Let's go down to say 1 volt. So now 1.1 volt and turn the output on. We see 1 volt, great, that is actually working, it's passing through. So we should be able to increase the voltage and see the overload circuit kick in. Let me just check what voltage is supposed to cut off at. That's 1:1 ratio. 1:1 ratio over here. Apparently I should be able to do 17 volts on here and not have a problem. Just making sure it's actually enabled. Protection's enabled now. Gonna wind this up. It said 17 volts and it should trip out at some point above 18. There we go, it's cut out. That was at 20, above 25. I don't know if it's because of these controls. I don't know what these controls here do. Turn both of those fully clockwise. Bring it down, do a reset. Back to around 1:1 again. It's on 23 volts, 24 volts. Now on 24, let's try adjusting these. Does this do anything? It is changing the output, interesting. Okay, so these are like trimmers. Anyway, that's 24 volts, 25, 26, still there. I think that, yeah, it is protection. Okay, so bring it back round to reset. I'm still trying to figure out this out myself. I've not used this yet, so I don't even know how to use it. So let's go down all the way counterclockwise and we'll see what this one does. 24 volts, above 24 volts cut out. Now I think it's supposed to happen before 22. Yeah, the manual said 22 volts, so it's a bit out. So we'll turn this, reset it. Let's do the 5 volt input, wind the power supply down. So we'll do 5 on the output, that should pass straight through. Wind that up. 24 again, 24 volts cut out again. So it's simply working, so that's good. The circuitry is working correctly. Brilliant, at least I know it's going. Let's have a play with something. So we go to 10 volt range again, 10 volt range on here. Now I'm injecting 5 volts right now, that's fine. So we can actually do a 5 volt range and 5 volt range on there. And if I were to scale down, we could do that. Let's do 1 volt. So 5 volts in, 1 volt out. That's what we're getting. Half a volt out. Yep. And 0.1. That's working. So if I were to do 10 volts, 10 volts on the power supply, same thing. So this is definitely working as it should. 1.1, 5 volts, 10 volts, it's basically straight through, and these ones won't do anything because they're trying to scale up, it doesn't work that way. That's working. 50 volt range. 50 volt range on there, should pass straight through. 10 volts in, 10 volts out. It's 1/5 of that, so that's right, 2 volts. 10%, 1 volt, yep, that's all working good. So that's looking promising, it looks like it's working. 100 volt range. 100 volt range on there, should pass straight through, yep, 10. This should be 5, that should be 1. Should be half a volt. That one there should be 0.1, yep, cool. That all seems to be working correctly. Excellent. So obviously that is just the divider function of this, because it is a reference divider. So that's just the divider function. We've got a standard cell section in here as well. So we could hook up a standard cell to this, a voltage reference really, and then a null detector, and then we can use that as well to do nulling against the known source, which is also useful. So I think that's all I'm going to cover today. I've still got to figure out a charging system for this. Now I know that I can get all connections aside on the panel, which is over here. Circuit board, which is on this side I think it was. All the connections are on that board, that's the protection board. So if all the connections I need to get to charge the batteries up are over there. I don't have to get that back panel again. I'll only just have to drill a hole in the back panel in order to add a charging port. That's basically it. I don't know enough about how to use this thing yet. I've got to learn how to use it yet. So I've shown you the divider part. As far as the null detector part and using a standard cell and using this for proper calibration purposes, that's a bit I don't know yet. I've got to figure that stuff out. I've got to read the manual, play this some more and actually get familiar with it. But actually I had to fix the thing first before I could do that to make sure that it's going to be safe. What I do know is this protection thing here, I was looking to see if there's a way of avoiding battery drain, and there isn't, it's just always on basically. But the protection one here, when it's in protection off, that's bypassing, it's basically linking straight through with the divider sections in there. So you obviously kind of want to leave that on if you're actually going to be using it. But obviously this is doing a divider as well by turning it down, so when it's off it's more accurate divider ratios, but when it's enabled it's variable. But I don't know much about this thing yet. I need to go and figure that out. And like I said, I need to set up a charging system for it so I can charge the batteries up periodically, you know, every 6 months, just plug it in, charge it up a bit, just to keep it under control. I don't know how quickly this battery's going to drain. Maybe check it in 6 months and see if they're dead flat or if the voltage has sagged too much, and go from there. I mean, I might decide that I have to charge it once a year. You don't want to keep lithium batteries fully charged. You want to let them, you know, be at like 50% charge if you can. So having them running a bit low is fine. It helps preserve them. It needs to clean up. Yeah, it's still a bit dirty on the front panel there. I need to give it a clean and do all that now as well. It works at least. Well, the bit I've checked works. Hopefully the rest of it works too. I'll find out when I go to play with it. If you ever use one of these things, let me know. Give me some pointers down below in the comments about maybe things I should watch out for or anything like that. I know there's a lot of nerds watch my channel, and so hopefully there's some calibration nerds that watch my channel. I know I have a couple of people which are calibration people, had comments before. If you've got some tips about how to use this thing or anything to watch out for, please leave it down below in the comments. If you think that buying this is a complete waste of time, leave that in the comments too. Am I ever going to use this thing? Well, maybe. I actually have all the equipment. I have all the gear. I have a null detector. Hold on. Here it is, alright, null detector. So I actually have the right equipment for this. I actually done a video repairing this before. This is the 845AB. This also has a battery inside it which I had to replace. So this one has been refurbished. So the only thing I don't have is a standard cell, but that's fine because I've got my 10 volt reference for that. Subscribe over there if you're not already subscribed. Other videos to watch down there, and there's a Patreon support link over there, about there somewhere. Click on that, donate to the channel if you want. Donations to the channel help me to buy things like this to do videos about. These sorts of things are expensive, and this was a cheap one. Or even if you click the thanks down there, about there somewhere, there's a button that says thanks. If you want to do a one-off donation, you can do that too. Or even better, what really helps me the most is people sharing the videos. So if you share the video and let other people see it, helps the channel grow. As the channel grows, then naturally I'll get more money from that anyway, for more donations. So sharing it is a big help. If you leave comments, YouTube thinks people like it, and then they share it more. Anyway, catch you later.